It's more than 5 years that the federal government privatized the power sector. After 5 years, there are divergent views about how the power sector has fared in the country. Hello and welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. We will be discussing about the power sector and more. We will be right back.
Sundry labour issues are the core of the grievances of these university and inter-university workers. They are at loggerheads with the federal government over the alleged preference for the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. ASU is one of the 4 unions on campuses, but these protesters say it enjoys 80% of the earned allowances released to the universities.
We've been going around with my officers, driving out, telling our members to leave the office. Indeed, very many of them did not even come, because they know there's an ongoing protest. As it is the welfare, and it goes a lot in making the system stronger. The system, in this case, is the university system, stronger.
For these workers at the Mathematical Center, Shada in Kwali local government area of the Federal Capital Territory, inter-university centers such as DS have been excluded from benefiting from the earned allowances.
And that we are now requesting that the federal government should make available the sum of 30 billion naira to cover our arrears. We have been shortchanged, and enough is enough.
Oh, we call on them. They should call all the stakeholders, from the non-teaching staff, from the ASU teaching staff, to come and form one group to manage the NUPENCOM.
Yes. We call on Mr. President, inter-university centers are agencies of federal government, and Mr. President should not allow these institutions to collude with the ASU executive to deny universities, non-teaching staff, and inter-university centers their rights.
The university staff schools are also not left out, as students and pupils are forced to stay away. The aggrieved unions want the government to comply with the 2016 ruling of the Industrial Court, which said teachers at the university staff school be placed on the payroll of the federal government. Other issues include the operations of the pension fund administrator, the Nigerian University Pension Management Company, a brainchild of ASU. They also want grey areas in the integrated payment and personnel information system ironed out before they can key into it.
Members of the Non-Academic Staff Union and the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Universities have commenced a 5-day industrial action. This followed the directive of the Joint Action Committee of NASU and SANU to all branch chairmen of unions across the country.
The government are not being sincere, the government are not sensitive to the plight of the non-teaching staffs, and very, very quite unfortunate. So the end allowance, the government should release this money without any further delay. Without any further delay, they should release this money and make sure that the money gets to our members on time.
NASU SANU during the protest said the industrial action was as a result of the expiration of the 14-day ultimatum given to the federal government. They also accused the government of failing to show firm commitment towards resolving the issues raised, including the payment of earned allowances to members. Others are the status of the university staff schools matter and the renegotiation of 2009 agreements. Union leaders at the University of Lagos ensured members complied with the strike directive.
All staff school teachers must be reinstated in all Nigerian universities. Their names must be reinstated on the payroll of the university, and their appointment, which was gotten from the council of all these universities, the same way the Vice Chancellor got his own appointment. If council is the employer of the Vice Chancellor and is the employer of the teachers in primary schools, then council should continue to pay their salaries.
For our area, lights are not good for them. You understand, like 3 months, there's no lights. Road no good. Make the airports do everything.
I'm living at Ogun State, Ibafo side. That's where I'm living. Okay. The light here, they used to rotate it, but it's improving than before. Anytime we are going to have it, we will have it. So one day on, one day off. That's how they normally give us.
No, there was a time we had steady lights. We had lights, say, for like 8 hours running. But it's not so now.
It has really improved. It's very okay. At least we have minimum of 15 to 18 hours every day now.
On the Profile interview segment this week, I will be speaking with the National President of the United Labour Congress, who also doubles up as the General Secretary of NUI. Comrade Joe Ajaero tells me that the power sector privatization needs to be looked into to ensure that the citizens enjoy adequate power supply in the country. Take a listen. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
A lot is happening in the electricity sector. I would like you to share your experience. It's perceived that since the privatization of the sector, that we have some companies that are yet to comply with extant labor laws. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I think some of them actually, but we have been to a very large extent able to push, and as at now, just few that we need to engage in the next few months, especially the generating companies. The discos will been able to get conditions of services signed in Ibadan, in Abuja, in Jos, in Kaduna, in Kano, in Enugu. We are still having that of Ikeja, Benin, and Port Harcourt to be signed, but we have finished the writing and drafting of these conditions of services, waiting for dates. Some of them may be using delay tactics on the issue of signing, but as far as we are concerned, we have finished the dates. But a place like Egbin, Sapele, Uheli power station, and the power stations, apart from maybe one in Niger State, Kaenji, Shiruru, Jeba, those ones will be the next phase. The Transmission Company of Nigeria actually, since it's still under government control, we were able to draft a new condition of service which has expired, and we equally have reviewed it, but we have not signed a reviewed copy. So that's the situation, for some time now.
From your experience, why would any company not want to allow workers to unionize, and why would they actually apply delay tactics in terms of ensuring that workers have condition of service?
Well, some of the companies that behave that way, apparently because of their history, some of them were formed under an environment that they were there to undermine workers. I can tell you that the ones that they said bought a win, have been known to be to behave that way. They called their this industrial tooth from Sahara oil. And Sahara oil, for all that I know as of today, don't have any condition of service for workers. And it was the same impunity they used in entering a Egui power plant. And they chose to be in court with us rather than sign condition of service. We have done one or two picketing there, and they decided for the matter to go to the Nigerian Industrial Court. So we went there, for their claims were struck off. They went back again. So, and we have been known to be patient, to exhaust that avenue. They had some level of relationship with Port Harcourt Electricity before. We went the whole hog with Port Harcourt Electricity, from IAP to NIC from asking the court to interpret the rulings before we started negotiating. So this time around, they went in there, and their leaders are people who wanted to be governors and whatever of this country that don't respect, the laws of the land, especially as it affects workers. So that, to a very large extent, and it appears they use that to cut costs. That's what I suspect. Now, apart from cutting costs, they use it to introduce certain laws, certain norms, in the workplace that nobody will challenge, having, cowed the workforce. So there's a lot, a lot of behaviors, a lot of abnormal behaviors. When that happens, they act illegally. Like Benin Electricity, apparently, if you check the history of the leaders there from First Bank and other places, you know that we have had such similarities. But when they now act without the law, they act illegally. We have decided to react illegally. That is why we got some of the conditions of services we got signed. Because should they wake up and sack a worker, for instance, it was not based on any condition of service or any rule or procedural agreement. Now, by the time we go there, we are not going to react based on any procedural agreement or condition. So you see illegality.
So how does protecting workers' rights improve decent work through signing of condition of services for your members?
Well, it protects both the workers' right and the right of the employer. Because these things are enshrined. What the worker should not do will be there. What the employer should not do should be there. And if you have a condition of service or procedural agreement, even as unions, there are things we are not supposed to do there. We have to follow the procedure. We have to follow the laid down rules. And the condition of service that enjoys joint authorship, means that both sides covenanted to certain agreements and acts. So you can't be seen going back there to violate it. So clearly, it protects the interests of workers, it protects the interests of employers, and the people, all operators in the workstation.
Casualization of staff, outsourcing and insourcing of workers is still the order of the day. Are there solutions in sight?
Well, I doubt, because I doubt whether the solutions are in sight. Because I've not seen the People's Ministry of Labor, whose duties it should have been to checkmate precarious work. And so long as the Ministry of Labor remains complacent or docile, as the case may be, the plight of Nigerian workers will remain that way. You even see Ministry of Labor trying to compel unions to go ahead and sign agreement with outsourced companies. By so doing, they are encouraging casualization. They are encouraging what do you call it? In this outsourcing indecent employment relationship. Now, I was thinking that before now, the Ministry of Labor will insist that casualization, outsourcing, or whatever name, should not come under Nigerian employment policy or law. But they are not. Most workers, even when they are sacked, you see thousands sacked here, hundreds sacked here. The Ministry of Labor keeps quiet. Their reaction time is nothing to write home about. Any union in Nigeria that is not strong will suffer. 2 months ago or last month, the Abuja Electricity Company sacked about 11 staff, moved out union functionary out of the state, and I quietly did a love letter to them, to do the needful because they acted out of all known rules and copied the ministry. After nearly 1 week, the company responded because we know ourselves. We know what they are capable of doing and they know what we are capable of doing. And they came here, we resolved the matter. And they recalled the staff, recalled all of them, posted the union functionary back. Now, after a month or so, the Ministry of Labour started inviting me for a meeting. And as I today have not done that meeting. Because it is their duty within the 2 weeks notice or ultimatum to apprehend that crisis. Now, I have concluded with the employers and we have signed the agreement. Our problem is over. And you are writing me for a meeting. That meeting, we didn't honor it. They wrote another one. So why do they want to see our face when we don't have problem again? So if you have a ministry that is not alive to its responsibilities, the workers will suffer. If there is real, a power relation in a sector, you can handle those problems before it gets to the Ministry of Labour. But I'm telling you that they are not giving us the desired protection.
We have the 9th National Assembly that's just been newly inaugurated. We're going to have a new minister. What would be your expectations in terms of ensuring that we have a decent work environment to work in?
I don't think that our problem has been promulgation of laws, legislations. Our problem has been implementing the ones that are even in existence and choosing the right people who have, the interest of workers at heart. Most of the employers are senators. Most of them are in the House of Rep. And if you allow them, they'll come up with laws and policies, that will undermine the interests of the workers. And that brings you to the traditional battle between capital and labor. Capital must do anything, to even maximize profit at little or no cost, to them. Now, if you look up there, even if they are not there, the millionaires, the owners of industries, the captains of industries, relate with the members of the National Assembly, whether 9th or 10th or 20th National Assembly or Senate. And they relate with them, they take decisions, over a cup of tea, and they go back there to undermine the workforce. So when that happens, where lies our protest? Sorry, where lies our strength? Except the unions go back to organize. If you can't bring discomfort to the employer, they will not listen to you. If you can't bring any element of discomfort to the employer, watch out what is going to happen to the minimum wage. Because the people concerned, who felt that they have arrived at Uhuru and left those of us who could bring discomfort and say, Nadia, Papa Geta, and we are watching them on minimum wage. If you watch it, the minimum wage will be sold. Nothing is going to come out of it. And this is one of the minimum wage agreements that were signed 6 months after nothing has happened and labor is not doing something. So we are watching them. This kind of sweet talk agreement, sweet talk unionism will leave workers in the third world country like Nigeria, it will leave them barren. And they are going to suffer. That's my position clearly. Government will play with the current state of labor leaders in the public sector until the even value of 30,000 naira will just vanish.
So what can be done to salvage the situation so that workers are the ones that benefit and not suffer from the situation?
Well, it is one thing to sign agreement minimum wage, and we were taught in school in those days that it is one thing to sign agreement and another thing to implement it. To sign an implementable agreement and to have the willpower to implement it. This one is lacking now. You know, we have signed an agreement because all of us were involved in it. And we all moved out to say, oh, this 30,000, we need it. Now they have gone to the level of implementing it. Everybody has gone back to his house. You know, some of us will still get increases. Some of us in some areas, even in my sector, have gotten in some areas, in some companies, 60%, this and that, of what they were earning before. And none of them was earning 30,000. And we'll keep on moving that way. Some others will go there and add 1,000 naira on top of 30,000. Some people will get 500 naira on top of what they're earning. And that's how they are going to bastardize the 30,000 naira minimum wage. Because, one, you won't say there's unity in the labor circle. Two, you won't say that the people who are leading the unions, let me keep the centers aside now, the people who are leading the unions, that they have the interests of the workers at heart. Not many of them. Three, you won't say that real technocrats, people who understood unionism for what it is, people who join unionism, you know, because they have passion for it, you won't say that the people leading in those areas. What you are seeing now is, how do I call it, labor dealers. When you have labor dealers, they are not the same thing as labor leaders. Some people are there elongating their tenure. Instead of staying 4 years, they make it 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, based on what they are gaining. It doesn't add value. That is why you still have states that are paying less than 18,000 naira minimum wage. States that are paying 7,500. All those, because the leaders who have in such places don't have the interests of workers at heart. So until we have unions, fighting unions, ideological unions, then there's going to be a problem.
5 years into privatization, 6 years now, pardon me. 6 years into privatization of this sector, we still have crazy bills, or should I put it as outrageous bills, and we still have the issue of prepaid meters not being circulated in some areas. What can be done to fix this problem?
Well, I don't think that the two examples you gave were the reasons why privatization took place in the first instance. Nobody privatized to avoid crazy bill. Nobody privatized for you to have prepaid meter. Privatization was, you know, to make more money for those who want to take over. And if it is crazy bill that will make them to have more money, that is what you are seeing. If they privatize with, you know, prepaid meters, and it's supposed to bring down their revenue, they will not introduce prepaid meters. Those are the issues. Privatization was to take what belongs to the public to the private, what belongs to the poor to give it to the rich, and for the rich to continue to extort and exploit, you know, the poor, and to continue to increase tariff. And lack of prepaid meter is the easiest way of increasing tariff without you knowing, because it is not metered and you don't know what you are consuming. Crazy bill is another easy way, because there are no standards to allocate the bill you are being given, to allocate the amount you are supposed to pay. So by the time I listen to Nigerians and they complain about this, I laugh, because initially they were laughing at us that these guys don't want privatization, and we have received privatization. So I think Nigerians should calm down, you know, and let's see how it goes. If you watch, they were supposed to review the privatization after 5 years. The BPE, which is not a pan-Nigerian organization, you know, has kept quiet, and they're justifying, you know, why it should not be reviewed. The BPE is there as members of boards of the DISCOs and GENCOs. Now, why will you be members of board when you are a civil servant. And because of that, no revenue is even accruable to government. And you see officials of BPE serving in boards of discos and whatever. And you see the collaboration. These are the people that should have said that they are not doing well, or it's past 5 years. And they are there, maybe having a best of cars and whatever, taking care of their allowances. And Nigeria is going down, going down. And it continues that way. BP is there still privatizing some areas. You know, the other day they went to AFAM. They want to sell the quarters. They want to sell the schools. Even the schools built by the unions. You know, that's what they're moving up. They went to Yola. They want to sell everything. That's BPE. And the bidding of even the AFAM was done in Transcorp, and they sold it to Transcorp. So they went to their house to do the bidding. So this issue, these shady deals in the power sector will continue, because nobody is asking questions. And when we ask from here, probably they'll call us names. And Nigerians are so docile, very docile. They called us names when we are talking about privatization. I think they're enjoying it now. There's still little intervention. By the time they will let loose on the issue of tariff, then it will clear our eyes.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember, labor creates wealth.